Hi everyone. So I applied for a new nursing job. It's an educator job. And what happened was I got the job, but then I realized it was going to be 5 days a week. And right now that's not going to fit my schedule because even though I negotiated the pay the way I needed to, I did it to the best of my ability, but it still won't be able to support my lifestyle and pay my bills the way I needed to for a 5 day a week position. Because right now I'm working per diem and I also teach as a college professor. So I decided ultimately that it's not going to work because there's no option for overtime, and it just doesn't. I won't allow me 5 days a week to also keep my teaching schedule so that I can make extra money. So I decided to let them know that I won't be taking on the educator role, although it was something that I'm really passionate about. So I asked them if I could work another option with working 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts as a floor nurse, and that pays even less, but there's an opportunity for overtime. So they said yes, and I negotiated the salary as much as I could with that, and I started the job. So I was there for the orientation, and in the orientation, I was told, one of the nurses asked how many patients, what's the the nurse patient ratio, and they said 14. That is unacceptable. First of all, I believe it's illegal and it's unsafe on an acute psychiatric unit. And so I kept it in my mind, but I just kept going because I said, well, I can still help people. I can still make my money and still stay teaching 2 days a week and pick up overtime. So it'll work for me and my bills and my situation. And so the unit I was hired for was a unit that I wanted to work on. And then I was told that I may have to float to an adolescent unit, a children's unit. Now, that is part of my workplace boundaries. I don't work with kids. It's just my preference, and working with kids is a whole nother area of nursing, and I don't feel safe doing it. And so they told me, well, I could be trained extra to work with kids. And at first I agreed, and I said, I want this job. I said to myself, so I agreed, and I said, okay, as long as I'm trained extra, I guess I can deal with it. But then I thought about it, and I really can't deal with it. It's I let them step over my boundaries without because I wanted to appear nice, which I am nice, but I wanted to appear that I would be flexible in doing that, when in fact I won't. That's not something I can do. So anyway, I continued the training, and after the training, I asked them. It just so happens I had things to take care of. So I asked them if I could start July 1st instead of the last week, this last past week. And so it was a Sunday when I asked them, and I was scheduled to go on Monday. So they said, okay, come in tomorrow and we'll talk about your schedule. Sunday night, I got so sick. I was so sick. I don't know what happened. I ate a pot pie. I'm taking Zepbound, but that hasn't been an issue for a few months now. But I ate a pot pie, and I don't think it was cooked right. I got so sick. I vomited 7 times, and I had diarrhea about 4 times. In the midst of it, I lost 4 pounds, but it wasn't a healthy way to do it. So I was like, oh no, they're gonna tell me, they're gonna think that I'm lying. And I stressed out, but I had to call out because I was so sick. So I was very anxious about it because I did want the role. And so I called out, and I had to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor on Monday. I called the doctor, my weight loss doctor, and I asked, I said, I'm sick and I don't know if it's related to that, but I want to be seen. Can I do a telehealth appointment? Because now I live about an hour away from where my doctor is. And they said, no, you need to come in because you probably have to have some labs done. Okay, so I drove all the way there, sick as hell, like sick. And I get there, and it's not a doctor, she's a nurse practitioner. My nurse practitioner doesn't even come to see me. A student nurse came in. This is where our healthcare is going. A student nurse came, but I was like, okay, she's gonna come in, and then my nurse practitioner is gonna come in. So the student nurse comes in, and she's asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I said, I'm sick, I'm vomiting, diarrhea, and on top of it, after we're done with that assessment and we figure out what's going on, I'm feeling very anxious lately, like extremely anxious, not like myself. I don't know if it's because maybe I'm going through perimenopause, the job situation. I recently moved to a whole new area, sold my house, whatever it is, but I feel like my insides are coming out. I feel so anxious lately. And she says to me, okay, let me give you a list of providers. I'll see if I have a list of providers. So she gives me this list, and I said, honestly, with all due respect, I can't go to this provider because it's a conflict, because I work with this provider in my per diem job, and it just wouldn't be right. So she said, well, what do you do for work? And I said, I'm a psychiatric nurse. You won't believe her answer. She said, if you're a psychiatric nurse, why can't you just talk yourself out of it? What? I was so disgusted, like so disgusted. And in that moment, I was sick and anxious and upset. And I was just like, really? This is the future of who's going to be taking care of us? But yet the people who care and really know about mental health get forced out of jobs because of high acuity with unsafe ratios, having to be forced to work on units that they don't want to work in. This is what you're telling me, to talk myself out of anxiety, which is something real, which anxiety, as maybe she doesn't know, is something severe that you can't just talk yourself out of. I mean, you can use techniques to, help yourself, but I wanted to talk to somebody, and that was her answer. So anyway, I didn't even answer. I said, I'm trying my best, but I can't just talk myself out of it because I wasn't in a position there to even address it any further than that. So she goes on to say, well, maybe you have norovirus, maybe it's food poisoning, a whole bunch of maybes of what it could be. Never took any labs. Never, only thing they did was take my vitals. The tech took my vitals. A quick assessment of my heart and lungs, and no assessment of my abdomen, which is what I was complaining of, right? And so then that was it. And then she said, then she said, would you like me to give you some Zofran? Because whatever it is, I can give you Zofran. I said, I'm not sure, but okay, I guess Zofran will be okay. But this is I'm thinking this is what I drove here for. I could have had a telehealth appointment for this. And she said, actually, no, instead, just take saltines. They'll help you. Okay. So I paid for that appointment. I didn't see the nurse practitioner. She didn't come in after. I met with a student nurse. I'm just wondering who is going to bill for that appointment. Can a student NP bill? And we know the answer to this. I'm just asking it because it's so out of control. Unless things change, then I don't know. Can a student NP really bill for an appointment? And if they can, what is she billing for? For making it worse? For telling me to eat saltines and deal with my anxiety myself? It's really sickening. It's really, really sickening. And things have to change. So, long story short, I went home crying, and on my way home, I was driving and trying to figure out what to do. And I messaged the job, and I told the job, I need to talk about this. I need to have not to have a meeting, but I need to have some time to be able to talk about this. Maybe I could go part-time, but I know that I was trying every which way to find a way of what can I do. And so I gave some suggestions of what I could do. And then the next day I had scheduled off. And I went to my per diem position as I was scheduled there. And as I was there, my supervisor said, it's just crazy how the universe works. My supervisor said, I have to talk to you. And I said, actually, I have to talk to you too. And so she said, okay. So right before we were going to talk, another nurse asked me if I could pick up a shift for her. So I said, I'm not sure yet, because knowing that I might have to go back to the other job and I didn't want to miss my role there. I said, I'm not sure yet. Can I let you know tomorrow? Because I was going to try to figure out with the other job what to do. And so right after that, just as we were talking and I said that, I get an email from the job that, that I called out from, that I was dealing with. And they said, we have a mandatory required meeting with you. Either you can pick tomorrow or Friday. And I said, at first I wrote back and I said, I'll pick tomorrow. Now my anxiety is through the roof. Mandatory required meeting. Am I in trouble? Is it because I asked for off? I asked for a time to make a decision and asked for off, and now I was sick and they don't believe me. My mind was going a million miles a minute. And then I really remembered, I was angry, thinking about, in the moment, about what that student nurse had said. And I just put, I'm at work, so I put the phone down and I just said to the girl that asked me to work for her in July, I said, yes, I can, because work is coming to me, right? That was a sign. Like I in my mind, I have limited beliefs. I'm in that scarcity mindset, and I feel like, oh my goodness, if I don't take this job, how am I going to survive? How am I going to, how am I going to do what I have to do, right? And so I said, wait, for a second, I took a second to breathe, and I said, I have work. I have a per diem job, right? Even though there wasn't a lot of hours to pick up, I have done Uber before. I can make money through Uber. I have a whole business with journals and a clothing line and books that I've been afraid to launch, right? I have all of that. So what am I doing, right? So I told her I'll pick up the shift. And then a little bit after that, my supervisor says that there's this new position, not a new position, but there's a need for a nurse to work in the ER and pick up extra hours, and it pays well. And would I be interested? Can you believe it? Can you believe how I can believe it? I can't believe it, but I can believe it. Can you believe how God is so great? I prayed and prayed and prayed, and that's what happened. So as I'm driving home, I'm just thinking about everything, and then what I had to tell her was about my workbooks. I said, I'm launching these mental health workbooks for caregivers, and it just so happens that morning at work, a patient was complaining, saying that there wasn't much to do because that day, the recreational therapist was off. She usually runs amazing groups and does amazing work. But they did have group that day, but there weren't as many groups. So he was saying, I want more groups. I want more of something to do, more therapy. And it just connected with me as well, because I have a whole mental health workbook that I designed for organizations, hospitals. I have a recovery court workbook that I designed for court. And why are they not being promoted? Because I'm scared, because I'm here applying for, or stressing and being anxious about a job that is unsafe and could risk me losing my license. And and that's why I'm not following my dream? Really? So when I got home, I sent an email and I said, nicely, I am resigning from the position effective immediately. The position, that was, the potential full-time position. Effective immediately. At this time, it's just not a right fit for me. I appreciate all the training and time that you invested in me, but I wish you continued success, but no thanks. And I quit. And so Today is the second day since I quit, and so many amazing things have been happening so far, including my supervisor set me up for training for the additional role to help out and pick up extra hours, including I got to wake up late and relax, including I got to take care of myself. I got to actually work on editing my journals and my workbook. I set a date on my calendar to go to Central Park and actually sell my journals, or at least promote my journals, connect with people, even if someone doesn't buy one, give them an experience that they deserve, and give myself an opportunity to believe in myself. So when I think about that student nurse, it's unfortunate because, as I said, anxiety can't be fixed just by talking yourself out of it. But she did help me to, without her knowing, of course, or maybe, I don't know, without me even knowing that it was going to happen, she did help me to remember who the hell I am. To remember that, like, yes, a lot of things that were making me anxious were things that I have sort of a part of control over. I have a control over the decisions that I make. I have control over whether I decide to take a leap of faith and just move forward on my dreams, right? And so a lot of my personal anxiety comes from thinking that I don't have control, or thinking that I'm not going to be able to make it, thinking that I'm going to be homeless, which I was before when I was a teenager, thinking I'm going to be, who's going to take care of me and my dogs who are here playing near my journals that I'm setting up and my display that I'm setting up. Who's going to take care of us, right? It's only me. But I have the strength in me to take care of me. And I know God got me. I know the world got me. I know the universe has me. And I know that I have so much to offer. So in her saying that, it made me realize that I can't depend on a provider, like a healthcare provider, to solve my problem. They can maybe give me techniques to feel better, but I do have techniques as well within myself to feel better because I am in the field. It's true. I need extra support, so I signed up for a coach through strawberry.me. I found that on Instagram, and she's been great so far. I had one session, and in that one session, she did so much for me as well. But I also know that I have it within me to make the right decisions and to face my fears, right? And so it was a reminder. What she was right about is in saying that, can't you just talk yourself out of it? I probably can. I probably can talk myself out of it because I went to therapists before. One of them told me several times, just stop what you're doing. Just stop. That was her therapeutic technique, I guess. Just stop. Stop talking to your mother. Stop talking to your father. Stop stressing about your sister. Just stop. Okay. So she was not effective. The other one, I went to him. He was pretty good, but he told me that my journals wouldn't make it. I can't, and I understand part of it. I can't just depend on a side hustle. I have to have a main income, which I understand that. But he said, I don't know that your journals are enough to make you a steady income on their own, ever. Okay, maybe he's a different generation, whatever. But then we ended, the last session I went to, he asked me what my bra size was. So honestly, that student nurse was pretty much more accurate, I think, than I gave her credit for, because although I can't stop anxiety or cure my anxiety, I can use techniques that are better than most therapists that I've gone to already's techniques. I'm not saying there aren't therapists out there that are good and qualified. I just haven't met one for my personal situation. So honestly, maybe that student nurse was onto something. That student nurse practitioner was onto something. But you know what I'm saying. So I'm actually disgusted with the way healthcare is right now, overall. With that experience, with my experience of working in healthcare, and the way patients' needs aren't always really addressed, and so that's why, the coach that I got from Strawberry.me said, but all your experience in healthcare, although it has been full of things that I told her, bullying and traumatic experiences and unsafe nursing in most of the places, not all. All of that experience helped me to actually build my own brand, helped me to design this workbook, helped me to design these journals, helped me to trademark my ideas, copyright my ideas, and helped me to be able to be creative in ways to find more creative ways to fix things, to better the way things are run. So honestly, it's just been an experience. So I'm going to be, picking up the extra shifts at my per diem job, and I'm going to be teaching in the fall like I usually do, which I'm passionate about. I love my students and I love all that they have to offer. And I'm going to be working on my business for the summer, really concentrating on my business and believing in myself for once, right? And we'll see how it goes. Thanks for listening, and I hope that you can stay with me on this journey and see all that comes from it. I'm excited to see. I'm excited. Before, I was nervous and scared. I still am. But that fear was stopping me from moving forward. Now I'm looking at it like, wow, what opportunity exists? Like, what things exist? What's going to happen next, right? Because it's been a roller coaster, and it was not all bad, as you see. Trying to find meaning in the experiences, and trying to find learning in the experiences, and having fun throughout the journey. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you listening, and I really love you, and I love me too. Bye.